Welcome back to AI Podcaster. You know we love to do deep dives on this show, and today we're tackling something that's pretty incredible when you really get into it, visualization.
It really is fascinating.
I think a lot of people think they know what visualization is, but
Yeah,
we're going to kind of pull back the curtain and see how it's not just, some motivational fluff, but there's actual science behind it.
absolutely.
So first off, let's just, define visualization. What exactly are we talking about here?
So visualization really it's about actively creating a mental picture in your mind, a vivid picture of yourself achieving a goal. And it's not just, kind of spacing out and letting your mind wander. It's much more focused.
Right. So it's not just daydreaming.
Not just daydreaming.
It's like really honing in.
Yes, exactly.
So we're actively creating that picture in our mind.
Yeah, and a key part of this is really engaging all of your senses. It's not just seeing yourself succeed, but feeling the emotions, hearing the sounds, even smelling the smells associated with that success.
Oh, wow. So it's like a full-on immersive experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's all happening in your head, but you're really trying to make it as real as possible.
Okay, so the more real you can make it, the more effective it is.
The more effective it becomes, exactly.
Okay, I like that.
And to kind of break it down even further, there are two main types of visualization that we talk about. There's outcome visualization and process visualization.
Okay.
So outcome visualization is what most people think of. You're focusing on that end goal. So you might imagine yourself crossing the finish line of a marathon, for example.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
And then there's process visualization, which is where you're mentally rehearsing all the steps it takes to get to that outcome. So
Wow.
you might picture yourself going through your training runs, how you'll pace yourself, what you'll eat the night before, really breaking it down.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so there's like the big picture, and then there's the nitty-gritty steps.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay, so this is all sounding great in theory,
Mm,
but how does this actually work in the brain?
yeah.
No? It's like, is it too good to be true?
Yeah.
How is this actually happening?
Well, this is where it gets really fascinating. Our brains are actually wired in such a way that just by imagining an action, it can trigger the same neural pathways as actually performing that action.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, have you heard of mirror neurons?
Yeah, those are so cool.
Yeah, they're
The
amazing.
ones that like fire when you're watching someone do something like they're doing it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so research has shown that these mirror neurons, they also fire when we simply visualize ourselves performing an action.
So just by thinking about it, our brain is kind of getting ready to do it.
Yeah, it's like giving our brain a practice run, almost like creating a mental blueprint for success.
That's mind-blowing.
It really is. And there was a study published in the journal Neuropsychologia, and they found that this mental rehearsal, it actually strengthens the neural connections involved in piano playing.
Oh, wow.
So they had participants mentally practice a piano piece, and they showed significant improvement in their actual performance compared to those who didn't mentally practice.
Whoa, so even if you're just sitting still visualizing, your brain is like hard at work getting you ready.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's really powerful.
So I imagine this isn't just for physical skills. This could be applied to like anything, really.
Absolutely. Visualization can impact things like our motivation, our confidence, our stress levels.
Okay, so let's dive into that then. How does it actually affect those things?
Well, when we visualize ourselves achieving our goals, it creates a stronger emotional connection to them. It makes them feel more real, more attainable, and that naturally boosts our motivation.
So if you believe you can do it, you're more likely to actually do it.
Exactly. And when you believe in yourself, you're more likely to put in the effort required.
Okay, so it's kind of like a positive feedback loop. You visualize, you get motivated, you take action, and it keeps building.
Exactly. It's this beautiful cycle.
That's amazing. Okay, so we're talking about all these benefits, but is there any research that actually backs this up? Are there studies that show this is real?
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton of research that shows the real world benefits of visualization. For example, there was a study published in the Psychology of Sport and Exercise, and they found that athletes who used visualization, they actually performed better and had greater confidence than those who didn't.
Oh, wow. So it's not just some like new age concept. This is like
Oh,
legitimate.
it's backed by science.
Wow. Okay, so are there other studies that support this?
Yeah, there's another one that I think is really interesting. It was published in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine, and they found that positive visualization can actually help regulate our stress
Oh,
responses.
that's so interesting.
Yeah, so when we visualize calm and successful outcomes, it can reduce anxiety and help us stay focused even under pressure.
So it's not just about achieving things in the outside world. It's like helping us manage our own internal world too.
Exactly. And this brings us to this concept of behavioral alignment. And basically, This means that when we consistently visualize ourselves acting in a certain way, it can subconsciously influence our actual actions to align with those visualizations.
Oh, so it's like we're priming ourselves to behave in a way that supports our goals.
Exactly. It's like creating a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's so cool.
It is pretty amazing, but it's important to remember that visualization, it's not a magic wand.
Right. You can't just like sit back and expect things to happen.
Exactly.
You still have to do the work.
You still have to take action.
So it's not a replacement for hard work.
No, it's a tool to complement your efforts and amplify your results.
I like that. Okay, so it's about creating that mental blueprint, but then actually taking the steps to make it a reality.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is all incredibly fascinating. But I have to ask, are there any downsides to visualization? Like, it sounds almost too good to be true. So are there any potential pitfalls we should be aware of?
You're right to be cautious because, like any tool, visualization can be misused. And one potential downside is that if we focus too much on just the outcome, just picturing that end result, it can actually lead to complacency.
Oh, I see. So it's like we might start to feel like we've already achieved the goal just by visualizing it. And then we don't actually put in the work to make it happen.
Exactly. And there was a study published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, and they found that people who only practiced outcome visualization without also visualizing the process and taking concrete actions, they were less likely to achieve their goals.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like they felt like they'd already succeeded in their minds, so they didn't actually put in the effort.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to combine visualization with action.
Okay, so we can't just sit back and expect things to magically fall into place.
Yeah, you have to put in the work.
Got it. Visualization is powerful, but it's not magic.
Exactly. It's about creating that mental blueprint and then taking the steps to make it a reality.
Okay, so visualization plus action equals success.
Exactly. So now that we've talked about the science and the pitfalls of visualization, let's get down to the practical stuff. Like, how do we actually use this in our own lives?
Yeah, let's get tactical.
Hmm.
How can we put this knowledge into action?
All right. Well, the first step is really about defining your goals. And I don't mean just kind of these vague ideas. I'm talking about crystal clear, specific targets.
Okay, so like instead of saying I want to be healthier, I would say I want to run a 5K in under 30 minutes.
Exactly. Give your brain a clear target to focus on.
Okay, so specific goals, got it.
And then once you have those targets, it's all about engaging all of your senses in the visualization process. So don't just see yourself achieving the goal, but feel it, hear it, smell it, even taste it if that's relevant.
So it's not just a mental picture. It's like a full body experience.
Exactly. You're creating this immersive experience in your mind.
Yeah, committing it. So
Yeah.
define clear goals,
Mm-hmm.
engage all the senses. What else?
So this is where a lot of people kind of stumble. You can't just visualize and then sit back and expect things to magically happen.
Right, it's not a magic bullet,
It's not. It's a tool.
but it feels like it primes you for action.
Exactly. Think of it like mental rehearsal.
Yeah.
It prepares you for the real thing.
Okay, so visualize the destination and then take action to actually get there.
That's a great way to put it. And remember to make visualization a daily practice.
Okay, so even just like a few minutes every day can make a difference.
Even just a few minutes, find a quiet space, relax, and let your imagination run wild.
So do you have any tips for like actually making this a habit?
I encourage you to keep a visualization journal.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, jot down your goals, describe your visualizations in detail, and track your progress.
So it's like creating a roadmap to success.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get creative with it. You know, some people create vision boards, others use guided meditations or apps. Find what works for you.
I love the idea of a visualization journal. I think that's a great tip. So we've talked about all the good stuff, but are there any like common mistakes people make with visualization that we should avoid?
Definitely one common mistake is focusing too much on the outcome and not enough on the process.
Right. We talked about those two types of visualization earlier.
Exactly. It's important to strike a balance.
Okay, so you want to picture the end result,
Yeah.
but you also want to visualize all the steps involved.
Yes, because if we only focus on the outcome, we might start to feel like we've already achieved it, and then we don't actually put in the work.
Right. So we get complacent.
Exactly. So spend some time visualizing the journey. Imagine yourself overcoming challenges, making tough decisions, persevering through setbacks.
So it's not about visualizing this like perfect, easy path to success. It's about like visualizing the real messy journey with all its ups and downs.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that.
Mm.
So are there any other common pitfalls?
Another thing to keep in mind is that visualization isn't just about achieving external goals, you know? It can also be a powerful tool for personal growth and development.
Oh, that's interesting.
So visualize your ideal self. Who do you need to be in order to achieve your goals?
Okay, so like what qualities do you need to cultivate?
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not just about like what you want to achieve, it's about who you want to become.
That's a great way to think about it.
I like that. Okay, so this is all incredibly insightful, but before we move on, I think it's important to just acknowledge that, you know, while visualization is a powerful tool, it's not a cure-all.
Of course, it's not magic.
Right. Are there any limitations to what it can do?
Absolutely. It's not a substitute for hard work, dedication, and sometimes a bit of luck.
So you can't just visualize your way to success. You still have to put in the effort.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so visualization is not about replacing action. It's about enhancing and supporting it.
Precisely.
I like that.
And like any skill, it takes practice.
Oh, for sure. So don't get discouraged if your first attempts at visualization feel a little awkward.
Exactly. The more you practice, the more comfortable and effective you'll become.
That makes sense. Okay, so the key takeaway here is just to start.
To start, experiment, find what works for you.
And don't give up.
Exactly.
Okay, so now that we've talked about the how-to, I'm really excited to dive into some real-world examples of people who've used visualization to achieve incredible things.
I think those stories are going to be really inspiring.
Yeah, let's see how this technique can be applied in different fields and different areas of life. All right, so we've talked about the science, we've talked about how to actually do it, but now I want to get into some real-world examples of people who've used this to achieve incredible things.
I love these stories. They're so inspiring.
Yeah, so who are we starting with?
Well, let's talk about Michael Phelps.
Oh,
He's been very open about how visualization was a key part of his success as an Olympic swimmer.
oh yeah, for sure.
And he didn't just imagine himself winning. He visualized every single detail of the race.
Really, like what kind of details are we talking?
Like he would mentally rehearse every stroke, every turn, every breath. He'd even visualize the feel of the water on his skin, the roar of the crowd. He was creating this complete sensory experience in his mind.
So he was like totally there.
Yeah, he was preparing his body and his mind for the real event.
That's incredible.
It really is. And, obviously most of us aren't Olympic athletes, but the principle still applies. The more vivid and detailed your visualizations, the more powerful the impact.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've seen how it works in sports. Who else can we learn from?
Well, let's shift gears a bit and talk about Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, yeah.
She's another great example of someone who used visualization to manifest her success.
I bet.
She would visualize herself interviewing guests, hosting her show, building her media empire.
Wow.
But what's important is that she didn't just visualize the end goal, she visualized the steps she needed to take to get there.
Oh, that's smart.
And how she would handle challenges along the way.
So she wasn't just picturing everything going perfectly.
Exactly. She was mentally preparing herself for the obstacles and setbacks.
That's a good point.
Yeah, visualization isn't about creating a fantasy world. It's about using your mind to prepare yourself for the real journey.
With all its complexities.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, so we've got sports, we've got media. Do you have any examples of visualization being used in like more creative fields?
Absolutely. Think about James Cameron, the filmmaker behind Avatar.
Oh yeah, those movies are incredible.
He's a big believer in using visualization to bring his creative visions to life.
Okay, but like what does he actually visualize?
Like he visualizes entire scenes, characters, special effects.
Wow.
He's basically creating the movie in his mind before he even starts filming.
So he's like directing the whole thing in his head first.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've seen these incredible examples across all these different fields, and I think it really highlights how powerful visualization can be.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's like the key takeaway you want to leave our listeners with?
The power of visualization. It's available to all of us. You don't need to be a celebrity or an Olympic athlete to use this tool.
Right.
Start small, be consistent, and trust that you have the power to shape your own reality.
I love that. So to all of our listeners out there, what future will you start visualizing today?
That's the question.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the power of visualization. And as always, thanks for listening to AI Podcasters.